Hey, welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. Glad you are tuning in. Sunday, May 25th, coming to you live from the world headquarters. I've been jacked up and fired up for a long time, for many, many years. But man, I tell you what, life is so good, and I'm just so fired up. It's like this different level of fired up, and I want you to get there as well. If you want to work with me one on one, shoot me those emails, jeremy@jeremytodd.com. Today, 12 daily reminders. Now, I put this out on the Facebook page. If you haven't liked the Facebook page, number one, I'm not quite sure what you're waiting for. Number two, you're crazy if you haven't liked the page because there's awesome, awesome stuff on there. But this post got a ton of likes, a ton of shares, and I'm fired up. And we're going to go over these 12 daily reminders and kind of give you my insight on these things. And what a better day to do it on a Sunday. You can listen to this on a Sunday night, Monday. Well, hell, I don't really care when you listen to it. Just listen to it, like, share, all that good stuff. Leave those 5-star reviews. But let's get into it right away. 12 daily reminders. Number one, it's so funny. I love these lists, don't I? It's just so silly. Oh yeah, get your piece of paper and a pen that we can write all this stuff down. But damn, I'm all about the list. Number one, the past cannot be changed. Isn't that crazy? Like, this is something I think about all the time. Like, I think about my past. Oh, that was in my past. I remember that when that happened. That was so tough. And gosh, I wish that would have never happened. Or at the same time, man, well, that was so cool. But I can't go back and change any of that stuff. The question is what am I going to do different? Or what am I going to do additionally to what I've done in the past? Number one, I guess if you did something bad, what can I do differently? And how have I gotten better? Number one, that's a big question there. Have I gotten better? That's a big one. Because if you haven't, let's actually look at that and figure out how you can actually get better. Number two is well, several things. Number two is what have I done to get better? Can I add on top of that to get better, even better than better? If that makes any sense. But you can't change the past, right? So it is what it is. It's identified to who you are, and man, embrace it. Embrace who you are. Embrace those struggles. Embrace those bad things that have happened. Those good things that have happened. Just embrace it all, because all those decisions, everything you've made, every decision you've made has brought you to the exact point in your life. No matter where you are, no matter where you're listening to this at. If you're in prison, if you're at church, if you're in your car, in a new car, old car, at work, doesn't matter. Every decision you've ever made in your entire life has brought you to this exact point. So when you think about the past, number one, why would you change it? Because everything you've done is it's based on you. But the cool thing about it is, yeah, yes, it hasn't been changed, but it's developed to who you are. Now we're going to get better and we're going to get to the next level. I just love the past cannot be changed and accepting that reality. Number two, opinions don't define your reality. Man, isn't that cool? Like, people think that, here, I'll use myself as an example, like always. It's interesting. When I launched my podcast, I don't think people truly knew who the real Jeremy Todd was. Now, we had opinions, we thought, and based on my actions, hey, I can understand that. But in my own head, I had a different opinion of who I truly was. The opinions of the others never really, they never changed my reality, never defined who I actually was in my own head. It was weird. And then I put that message out there. And then what happened was, even more people came out and told me how crazy my idea was about speaking and podcasts. It was nuts. But it didn't change my reality of actually who I was. And I would encourage you to think about this in the same situation. Whatever that goal, whatever that dream is that you want, opinions of others is not going to change that reality of who you actually are. You need to embrace that. And who gives a shit what other people think? You are amazing. You have greatness within. It's time for you to accept that, forget about the opinions of others, and go for those goals and dreams. Number three, everyone's journey is different. How important is this? I'm going to repeat that one more time for the people in the back. Everyone's journey is different. Comparison's the thief of joy. Said it 1,000 times on this podcast. When we see people getting these new cars, these new houses, and man, they're crushing it, they're doing this, they're doing that. That's not your journey. Your journey is different. Your journey may have started out with a bunch of struggles. Your journey may be like my journey when I filed bankruptcy. I was broke as a joke. I had my lights shut out. I had to choose between having gas in the house or electricity in the house, and I chose electricity. I shut the gas down, but at least I could plug in my space heater to keep me warm. I've been through this stuff. I get it. I totally understand it. But again, your journey is going to be a little bit different. Maybe you didn't have that. Maybe you didn't struggle like that. Maybe it's been completely blessed. I don't know what your journey is, but it's okay to have your journey. Your journey is special. Your journey is unique, and there are other people out there that look at your journey and say, "Man, I wish my journey was like that." It's that attitude of gratitude. It's understanding where you are and how you got there, and understand that your journey is exactly the way it should be. It's based on you, and you are great. Don't ever forget that. Number four, things always get better with time, and they do it. And when I say that, things always get better in time. It's always, the first thing that happens to me is I think of my friends and family that have passed, because those are extremely tough times. I miss my grandmother. I miss my buddies. Stevie Gomez. I miss that dude. I miss my cousins. I miss a lot of people, and now time doesn't make me forget these people. It doesn't. It's not any less impactful, but it does make it easier for me to get through day to day. When you're in the middle of something really, really tough, it almost seems like, my God, this is my life is going to be horrible. Nothing's ever, I mean, this is a terrible situation to be in. But understanding that if you can just hang on, and this goes to, if you can take it in a different direction, to whether you're struggling with addiction, you're struggling with drugs or alcohol or depression, whatever the case is, if you can understand that this is just a moment in your time, this is part of the journey. It's part of the trip that you're on. It's only going to make you better. If you can just get through this, I know it may not sound like there's a great opportunity ahead, but just get through it. Give it time. Give it time to work its way through. And another bad thing, it may get worse. It's reality. Things may get a lot worse than what they are. Well, Jeremy, how can I deal with that? It's already pretty shitty right now. I get it. It's pretty shitty. It might get worse, but I promise you, over time, maybe it's a 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 5 years, hell, maybe it's 10 years from now, things are going to get better for you. You just have to give them time. Number five, judgments are a confession of character. Judgments are a confession of character. And I love that quote. And it almost makes me think, and then obviously that's why the long pause, because when people tell you that you suck, maybe they suck. When people tell you that you can't do things, maybe they can't do things. When people tell you your idea is shitty, you know what? You're shitty, because it doesn't define you. It defines them and their character. And nothing drives me crazier than when people tell other people that they can't do it or your idea doesn't make any sense. You know what? That's bullshit, because we all see things from different perspective, right? How do you know what they look at? And how do you know maybe they have a completely different perspective that may be right? Maybe you just say, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go for it. Support them instead of beating them down. Judgments are confession of character. Number six, overthinking will lead to sadness. Man, that is the truth. And again, the thing that pops in my head, overthinking, is people go for those goals and those dreams. You want to start that podcast. I'm working with people one-on-one right now with a podcast, getting them going. But you've got to get these things going, right? I mean, when people have these great ideas, and I said this the other day on the podcast I was on, we've heard this saying 1,000 times, but the best ideas and all the money in the universe are in graveyards, because people have taken these ideas and these thoughts to the grave and never put them out. And a lot of times it's based on overthinking. It's paralysis by analysis. We're thinking and thinking and thinking, but all of a sudden it fades away and we don't want to do it anymore, or we don't think it's a good idea. We get depressed. We beat up our own idea instead of just, jumping in. It's that old, when I was a kid, I never forget this. I still do this. Whenever I go to a lake or I go to the ocean, it's like I walk in, if the water is even the tiniest cold, I put my toe in, I'm freezing, I'm running out the other way. It's the worst thing ever, right? Because I'm overthinking it. When I eventually put my foot in, put my toe in, all of a sudden it gets a little bit warm and now I'm jumping in. But if I never actually got over that, if I overthought that, thought it was just the worst thing ever, I would never get in the water ever. But eventually you just got to jump in. Whether it's the deep end, whether it's the shallow end, whether it's too cold, there's a million other reasons why you shouldn't jump in. But eventually, if you're fired up enough and you want to actually see what life is like on the other side of opportunity, you got to jump in the water. You got to jump in the cold water. You got to actually jump in and be uncomfortable and say how this sucks. But eventually things get a little bit better and you get used to the water. You get used to swimming in the waves. You get used to all these things that go on when you get outside of your comfort zone. You just got to get uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Number seven, happiness is found within. We can look for happiness everywhere. And I did this for years and years and years and years. And I looked for happiness in drug addiction and alcoholism and spending money and buying new clothes or new cars. And I've tried to find happiness in many other places, but at the end of the day, the only place happiness is within. When I say you have greatness within, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And when I also say that I've been happier than I've ever been in my entire life, it's because I am. some of the things that I've done that you may not be in a position to do or may not be ready to do is actually I've gone out and said to myself and put myself on blast. I've wrote a book about being sexually assaulted as a kid. I wrote a book about being bankrupt, struggling and having utilities shut off and just being and living with depression. But I promise you that as you get over these things and you talk about them, you put them out there, all of a sudden you understand that happiness is actually deep down inside. And it's always been there. It's always been there, but yet outside expectations cloud that. It's like when we see the sun and then all of a sudden we see these clouds rolling in and all of a sudden they block the sun and it gets dark and it gets rainy. But you know what else is on the other side of those clouds? The sun. The sun is still there on the other side. It's just beating up these clouds and trying to get through. We have to get through it sometimes and push those clouds away, push that rain away to be able to actually see the sun that is already there. And that sun is within us. That sun is the happiness that's deep down inside of us. It's always been there and it's never going to go away. Number 8, positive thoughts create positive things. The book The Secret came out years ago, and it was a book, if you haven't read it, I'd recommend you to read it, but take it with a grain of salt, because one of the things the book did was you could just sit in your corner of your room and just hope things to happen and have a positive attitude, and you would expect shit to fall from the sky and land on your lap. It'd be great. The other thing that book didn't talk about was it has to take action. So positive thoughts do actually create positive things, but you have to take action to make those positive things happen. You can't just sit on the sidelines and say, oh my gosh, I hope this comes through, cross my fingers. You have to take action. You have to go for those goals and dreams. And if we go back to the other things that we talked about, the judgments, the different journeys, opinions of other people, the past can't be changed. All that stuff right there is all BS, because if we're going to go for our goals and dreams and we have these positive thoughts and positive actions or positive we want these positive things to come in, we have to take these positive actions. And these positive actions sometimes get you out of your comfort zone. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Extremely important. Number 9, smiles are contagious. Unfortunately, we're in a time where we have to wear masks all over the place, inside of groceries and outside of groceries and restaurants and wherever, libraries, government buildings, wherever the case is. And I think, again, I'm not putting a political opinion on this, but I think it makes a difference when you can't see someone smile. You can do that with the eyes. And again, I know they're important at certain places, and I get it. And I know we have different opinions on why they're important, but I think it's a detriment to society. Whenever I go out anywhere, if I don't have to wear a mask, I'm going to go out and smile to every single person that I walk up against, because smiles are contagious. And it's something we miss in society, with society fighting over absolutely everything, politically, religiously, sports, income, vaccines, all this craziness out there that we're all fighting over constantly. A smile goes so far. It's great when you go to when you're sitting in line and someone has a baby, they're holding the baby. That baby doesn't know anything different. But if you smile at that baby, what does that baby do? The baby smiles right back. Or if the baby smiles at you, what do? You smile, because it is so powerful and so important. And understand that we are all human beings, and a smile can make a huge difference. I would encourage you to smile this week. Number 10, kindness is free. Just be nice. Do things for people. Let people in when they're driving on the road. I let everybody, and I'm a habitual waiver inner of traffic. You're pulling in, I'm waving. You're cutting me off, I'm waving you over. I'm trying to be the nicest, best version of myself that I possibly can be. And to point on that, who knows where they're coming from? They could be coming from a funeral. They may have gotten fired. They may have gotten terrible news, and people may be in bad moods. I'm waving over everybody over. But it's not just in traffic. It's everything I do. I try and be extremely kind to everybody. Help out. How can I help? The most powerful words in the world is, how can I help? The more kind we are, the better society is going to be. And you know what's kind of weird too, when you're super, super kind, more opportunities come open. People want to work with people that are kind and care, and that care, and that are passionate. Be more kind. Number 11, you only fail if you quit. That is so powerful. Brendan Burchard's got a great book. What's the book up? I want to say it's Power of Habit, but it's not. Whatever it is, I know, send all the emails to me, tell me what it is. I got the book somewhere else, but it is what it is. But you only fail if you quit. We have ups, we have downs, we have slow progress, we have no progress, we have back progress. But if we don't ever give up, eventually, as Steve Harvey says, our parachute has to open up. It always has. It always will. And if you give up, you never give yourself a chance. Now, I've been doing this podcast for over 4 years. Some people have been doing it for 10 years, 12 years, 13 years. But you know how many people have done podcasts for once, twice, 6 months, a year, and just given up? Who knows? Who knows who could listen to that show and let it blow up? Or who knows what life you could actually change if you continue to do what you got to do. Consistency is king, and you've got to keep going. Never give up. Never give up. There may be slow times, there may be stop times, but you got to get back on the horse and continue to go. If you take anything out of this podcast at all today, never give up. Don't ever quit, because if you quit, you fail. Number 12, karma is a mofo. Number 12 is what goes around comes around. The better you treat people, the more opportunities you're going to have. The faster the more people you help, the faster you're going to achieve your goals. It has been said over and over, and it's 100% true. The minute you realize this, that it's not all about you, it isn't all about you. If you can help other people, it will always come back to you. If you are kind, it will always come back to you. It may not come back now. It may not come back 6 months from now, but it will always come back to you. It always has, and it will forever. You have to keep that in mind. Keep that mindset that no matter what you do, good or bad, is going to come back to you 100%, 100 times over. It never stops. And like I said, it may not come back to you today. It will, and it always will. It always has. You're going to get that coming back to you. So whether it's money, opportunity, hatred, whatever the case is, it will come back to you tenfold. I promise you that, my friends. 12 daily reminders. Let's go over those one more time. The past cannot be changed. Number 2, opinions define your reality. Opinions don't define your reality. Number 3, everyone's journey is different. Number 4, things always get better with time. Number 5, judgments are a confession of character. Number 6, overthinking will lead to sadness. Man, that's been big in my life for a long, long time. Number 7, happiness is found within. Number 8, positive thoughts create positive things. Number 9, smiles are contagious. Wow, yes, they are. There's no question about that. Kindness is free. Number 10. Number 11, you only fail if you quit. Do not give up. If you need some accountability, hire a coach. Number 12, what goes around comes around. It always has. It always will. The Positive Side Podcast, jacked up, fired up. You know, I've got this thing coming up on Facebook that it's going to be here in a couple of months. I'm narrowing it down to what I'm going to talk about, but it's coming out on June 14th. And we're going to talk about this on some Facebook groups coming up. We're going to talk about how to get involved with with this group that I'm going to be developing super, super soon. But I'm excited about it. If you haven't liked that Facebook page, get over there. If you haven't connected on YouTube, subscribe, like. Same thing with LinkedIn, same thing with Instagram, same thing with all this crap. Get on all of this so you don't miss it when it comes out. It's hugely important. If you want to work with me one-on-one, don't be shy. Hire this guy. Yes, I just made that up. Pow, pow, pow. That was awesome. Yeah, so damn cheesy, but it's all good. I'm fired up. I hope you are too. I say it every single time. You've got greatness within. Like always, this is the positive side.